Hey everyone, ready to dive into the world of Debarker Operators and really, like, nail that interview.
We're going to cover all the bases, yeah. From those tricky questions to how RoleCatcher's AI can give you a serious edge.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So first off, remind us, what's a Debarker Operator actually do?
You're the one running the machine that strips the bark off the logs, right? Think of it as giving them a clean shave before they move on to the next step in making lumber.
Got you, so it's like a pretty important job then.
Oh, absolutely. Crucial. And you know what? The RoleCatcher Career Guide points out something interesting. This industry, it's surprisingly stable, and there's tons of room to move up. It's not just about running the machine. You become a key player in the whole timber thing.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture. But let's get down to business. How do I actually ace that interview? What are those interviewers really after?
Well, you got to remember, those interview questions, they're designed to figure out what you really know, and how you handle things when things get real out there on the job.
Right, makes sense. So first question up, they always ask about experience. Can you tell me about your experience operating a Debarker machine? Seems pretty straightforward, but what are they really listening for here?
It's your time to shine, basically. Show them why you're the perfect fit. They want to know the types of debarking machines you've worked with, how long you've been at it, any special techniques you've picked up.
Got it. So how much detail do they want? Should I, list every machine I've ever seen?
Keep it concise and relevant. Focus on what matches the job you're going for. And quantifying your experience, that's key. Don't just say, I've worked with rotary debarkers. Say something like, I have 3 years of experience operating rotary debarkers, including models X, Y, and Z. See? Specifics. Shows you know your stuff.
Makes sense. They'll definitely ask about safety, right? I mean, you're working with some powerful equipment there.
Oh, for sure. Something like, how do you ensure the safety of yourself and others when operating the debarker machine? That's bound to come up.
Okay, so the basics, right?
Yeah.
Goggles, steel-toed boots, all that. Anything else I should mention?
Hit those basics, definitely. But think beyond just the gear. Think about the proactive things you do to keep everything safe. Mention things like inspecting the machine before you even start it up, and always following those lockout, tagout procedures during maintenance. Super important to prevent it from accidentally turning on. And yeah, just being aware of what's going on around you, always thinking about safety.
Smart. Okay, so what if they throw a curveball? Can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot a problem with the Debarker machine? How do I tackle that one?
This is where you show off your problem-solving skills. Have a story ready, something specific that shows how you think on your feet and get things fixed.
So a story with a beginning, a middle, and a happy ending, where the machine's working again, all right?
Exactly. Walk them through it. The problem, maybe a jam or some kind of malfunction, how you figured out what was wrong, the steps you took to fix it, and of course, the good outcome. Remember, it's not just about the machine, it's about you. Your skills, like mechanical aptitude, problem solving, even staying calm when things get tough.
Speaking of staying calm, could RoleCatcher help me practice these scenarios, you think?
Totally. RoleCatcher's AI gives you feedback on your answers so you can really polish them up. It's like having a coach, but virtual. Plus, their AI can help you tweak your resume, really highlight those problem-solving skills employers are looking for.
Nice. Okay, back to the questions. Quality is a big one, right?
For sure. Something like, how do you ensure the quality of the debarked logs? That's all about showing you understand those procedures and that you pay attention to the details.
So making sure all the bark is actually gone, obviously. What else should I be talking about?
Think about it this way. You're not just getting rid of bark. You're making sure each log meets certain standards for the next stage of processing. Talk about visually inspecting the logs, checking for any leftover bark, damage, any defects, and of course, making sure they meet the size and specifications.
Should I mention specific tools, like if I use calipers to measure the log's diameter, things like that?
Absolutely. That shows you're not just going through the motions,
Oh.
You're actively using tools and techniques to get that quality right. And this ties back to what we were talking about with the RoleCatcher Career Guide. They talk about how the industry is all about precision and efficiency, so showing you're committed to that is key.
Great point. Okay, so we've covered experience, safety, troubleshooting, and quality. What's next on their list?
Probably want to know how you handle a busy environment and how you prioritize stuff. A question like, how do you prioritize and manage your workload when operating the debarker machine?
So it's not just about running the machine. It's about managing that whole workflow.
You got it. They want to see you can juggle a bunch of things, loading, unloading inspections, and of course, the debarking itself without missing a beat.
Huh. Should I brag about my multitasking skills? Like how I can juggle chainsaws and logbooks while running the debarker?
I like your enthusiasm, but let's keep it focused. Talk about your approach to prioritizing tasks. Do you use a list? Break down big tasks into smaller steps. Have a system for keeping track of progress. Share some real-world examples of your organizational skills in action.
Okay, good tips. But what about when things go wrong?
Mm.
Because let's be honest, in this kind of job, unexpected stuff is going to pop up.
And that's where you got to be able to adapt and problem solve, right? Talk a little bit about how you handle delays, breakdowns, those kinds of things. Do you have a plan B? Can you communicate with your team to figure things out quickly? This is where those soft skills, they call them, come in. Problem solving, communication, teamwork, all that.
True. It's not just about technical stuff. It's about working together to keep things running smoothly.
And that brings us to communication, right? Huge in a job like this, especially when you're working with others in a potentially dangerous environment. They might ask, how do you communicate effectively with team members when operating the debarker machine?
More than just shouting over the noise, I'm guessing.
Exactly. They want to know you can get the information across clearly, listen, and collaborate to get the job done safely and efficiently. Think about specific ways you communicate in this kind of setting. Hand signals, two-way radios, any systems you use for giving instructions or reporting problems.
Okay, and what about conflicts? Disagreements can happen when you're working on a team.
It's normal, right? Briefly describe how you handle those situations, keeping it respectful and professional. Do you focus on finding common ground? Really listen to different perspectives. Maybe get a supervisor involved if you need to. It's about showing you can deal with those tricky interpersonal things in a mature way, finding solutions.
Good advice. Before we move on, let's talk about those RoleCatcher AI features again. I know they have some tools that can help with these communication questions.
Oh yeah, for sure. RoleCatcher's AI can be a game changer. They've got this video practice analysis tool. It's amazing. It uses AI to give you feedback on how you're delivering your answers and even your nonverbal communication. Helps you come across confident and articulate.
So it's like having a personal interview coach, but AI-powered.
Exactly. And you can even practice those tricky conflict resolution questions with it so you can present yourself as a calm and collected team player. Now, back to those interview questions. How do you ensure the efficiency of the debarker machine? That's a common one.
They really want to see that I'm not just an operator, but someone who understands how to get the most out of the machine, right?
You got it. It's about showing you're proactive. You're thinking about maximizing output and you know how the machine works, its capabilities.
Regular maintenance is a given, right? Keeping the blade sharp, lubrication, all that good stuff. What else should I be highlighting?
Mention those routine things for sure, but go deeper. Talk about the machine's operating parameters. Do you adjust settings based on the type of wood or bark conditions? Have you found ways to streamline loading or reduce downtime during blade changes? Things like that.
Oh, great examples. Speaking of examples, can RoleCatcher's AI help me craft those specific, impactful stories to make my answers stand out?
Absolutely. Remember, that's what RoleCatcher's AI is all about, helping you tailor your answers and present yourself in the best possible light. It can help you zero in on those key skills and experiences for this specific job and show them off effectively.
Pretty incredible. Okay, a couple more questions for this part of our deep dive. Accuracy is another one, right? How do you ensure the accuracy of the debarked logs?
This one goes hand in hand with the quality question we talked about, but it really focuses on precision. Can you meet those exact standards? They want to know how you measure, inspect, and ensure that those debarked logs are consistently within the tolerances.
So talk about the measuring tools like calipers or gauges and any visual inspection techniques I use.
Yeah. Highlight that meticulous approach. Do you have procedures for documenting or marking logs that don't meet the specs? It all shows you're detail-oriented and you care about delivering accurate results.
Makes sense. Cleanliness too, right? They'll want to know about that.
Last one for this part. How do you ensure the cleanliness of the debarker machine and the work area? Might seem simple, but it says a lot about your work ethic.
It's all about safety and organization, right?
You got it. They want to know you understand how important cleanliness is for both. Talk about your regular cleaning routine, removing bark debris, wiping down surfaces, keeping your tools organized, and mention any specific cleaning agents or techniques you use for the machine itself.
Right. A clean machine is a happy machine.
Exactly. And that's a wrap on part 1 of our Debarker Operator Interview Deep Dive. Lots more to come. And we're back. Still prepping you for that Debarker Operator interview, ready to go a little deeper.
Yeah, bring it on. We talked about keeping that machine squeaky clean, but there's more to the job than just that, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. A debarker operator, they're not just working on their own. They're part of a team, a whole process. Showing the interviewer you get that. That's important.
Okay, how do I convey that bigger picture understanding?
They might ask something like, can you walk me through a typical day as a debarker operator? Now, don't go on about your morning coffee routine or anything.
No, right, not a day in the life essay, more like showing I know how everything fits together.
Yeah, exactly. Start strong. How do you get that machine ready to go? Maybe mention those safety checks or reviewing the production schedule for the day.
Then I'd get into the actual debarking, right?
Right.
Talking about the efficiency and quality control stuff we already covered.
Perfect. But don't stop there. What happens after the logs are debarked? Are you sorting them, maybe by size or type of wood? Inspecting for problems? Loading them up for transport?
Ah, I see. It's about showing I know where my role fits in the whole timber production line, how my work affects what comes next.
Yeah. You got it. And while we're talking big picture, remember that RoleCatcher Career Guide? The forestry industry, it's changing all the time.
Oh, yeah. Technology is changing everything. They probably want to know I can keep up with that.
For sure. That's where a question like, how do you stay updated on new technologies and trends in the debarking industry? That's a big one.
Okay, so reading those industry magazines, maybe going to conferences, good starting points, right?
Those are solid. But also think about the specific tech you've learned. Have you worked with any automated system, computer controls, monitoring stuff, anything like that?
Right. Get a show I'm not stuck in the past. I'm ready to learn new things.
Mm.
Which reminds me of RoleCatcher. Their AI can actually help with that, can't it?
Totally. Their Career Compass feature, it's like a personalized map for your career. It can show you different paths in the industry, the skills you need as technology changes, and even point you to resources and training.
So it's not just about landing this job. It's about setting yourself up for the long run. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, back to the interview. We've covered experience, safety, troubleshooting, keeping up with tech. What other curveballs should I expect?
They might try to figure out your motivation, your work ethic. A question like, what do you find most challenging about being a debarker operator? Now, this isn't your chance to complain about long hours or the noise.
I was going to say, those bark beetles can be a real pain.
While those can be annoying, use your answer to show how resilient you are, how you solve problems.
Okay, so instead of focusing on the bad stuff, I could talk about how satisfying it is to overcome those challenges.
Exactly. You can mention the physical demands, but then talk about how you stay in shape to handle them. Or maybe talk about meeting those production quotas and how you use your time management skills to stay on track.
And definitely tie in my commitment to safety. Always looking out for risks for myself and the team.
Now you're talking. Turn those negatives into positives. Show them your character. It's like, you're taking that rough, bark-covered log and turning it into something smooth and valuable.
I like that. Speaking of value,
Right.
That RoleCatcher Career Guide, it mentioned some pretty good perks for this job, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Competitive pay, benefits, the chance to work with your hands and see real results, being part of a vital industry, it's all in there.
And room to move up. Like we talked about before, they probably want to know I'm not going to jump ship after a year.
For sure. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's a classic one. It's your chance to show your thinking long term.
Should I tell them I want to be running the whole sawmill by then?
It's good to be ambitious, but let's keep it realistic. Maybe you want to be a lead operator, supervising a team, managing a few stations.
Or maybe I'll say I want to learn other parts of the timber business, like sawmilling or lumber grading.
That's a great way to show you're interested in growing with the company. And hey, remember RoleCatcher's Career Compass. That can help you figure out those career paths, the skills you need along the way.
So it's about showing them I'm invested in my future, and maybe even theirs. I like it. Okay, before we move on to the last part of our prep session, let's do a quick review for everyone listening.
Good idea. Remember, RoleCatcher, it's more than just info. It's like your toolkit for success. Their AI features can help you fix up your resume, practice your answers, even analyze how you come across on video. You're going to make a great impression.
So ditch those generic answers and embrace the power of AI, right?
All right, take a deep breath, everyone, and get ready for the final part of our Debarker Operator Interview Deep Dive. Okay, we're back. Final part of our Debarker Operator Interview Deep Dive. We've covered a lot of ground here. Prepped for those tough questions, looked at the industry, even how RoleCatcher's AI can help us out. Anything else we got to cover before those interviews? Let's talk about when they ask, do you have any questions for me? A lot of people just kind of checkout at that point, but it's important.
Oh, yeah. I used to think it was just like a formality, but it's actually a chance to shine, isn't it?
Exactly. Show them you're really interested, Get some valuable info, make a good impression, remember all that research you did? Time to use it.
Okay, so I could ask about specific projects they're working on, right? Or how their debarking operation fits into the whole production process. That shows I'm thinking beyond just this one job.
Perfect. You can also ask about company culture, or opportunities to learn and grow, maybe even their sustainability practices, how they're doing things in a responsible way. It all shows you've done your homework and you're really into the industry.
What about asking the interviewer something about their experience, like their career path or what they think about the future of forestry?
Nice. That adds a personal touch, shows you're interested in them, not just the job. Can really make a connection.
Good tips. Okay, before we wrap up, let's touch on something from the RoleCatcher Career Guide we haven't talked about yet. Automation. It's changing everything, right?
True. It's the future of the field, so how do you address that in the interview? You turn it into a positive, show them you're adaptable, ready to embrace new technology.
So if I've worked with automated systems before, even in a different industry, I should definitely mention that.
Absolutely. But even if you haven't, you can still show you're willing to learn, that you're comfortable with tech, mention your computer skills, anything like that. Shows you're ready for whatever's next.
It's about showing them I'm not afraid of change. I'm excited to be part of how the industry is evolving.
Exactly. And you know what can help you stay ahead of the curve?
RoleCatcher, of course. Their AI stuff is like having a personal guide to the future of forestry. Helps you spot those trends, develop new skills, stay on top of things.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, there you have it. Everything you need to ace that Debarker operator interview.
Don't forget, confidence is key. Show them what you've got, highlight your strengths, let your passion for the industry shine through, and ask good questions.
One final thought. As automation keeps changing things, what makes you stand out? What unique skills do you bring to the table? Think about that and go get them.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We're rooting for you on your journey to becoming a Debarker operator.